All right. Welcome back to Conscious Journey Podcast. I'm Christy Morrison, and my friend Adam Walton is here again to help us unpack part 2 of this really exciting podcast about plant medicine. So if you missed part 1, go back and listen to it. It's a pretty interesting journey about ayahuasca, the plant medicine hepe, the journey it took leading up to the first ceremony, what the first ceremony was, and the actual things and content that came to me during the experience, and how we were unpacking it, and the kind of deep revelations that have completely transformed how I'm actually showing up in the world today, which is, I would say, for the better.
I would agree. And now you'll get the rest of the story.
And now we're in part 2. Part 2 is actually really exciting. I want to go into a little bit more of the ayahuasca experience because I was there for 10 days. The 4 days that I'm going to be talking about next is where we made the medicine. And then I'm actually going to get into something called Kambo, which involves the tree frog and what that experience was and what it is about, because there is a ton of, let's use that word everyone loves, misinformation
Fake
about
news.
these. Yeah. Hey, let's use your little beepy button again.
Oh, yeah. You know what, though? I bet you I'll get it right this time.
I hope so.
Disclaimer. If you're going to soundbite any of this podcast, you must soundbite it in its entirety for consistency and context.
Boom.
Yep, we got it right, Richard.
I love it. So yeah, I thank you for that. We are talking about things that people do not understand, and when people do not understand it and fear it, they pull shit out of their ass. And
also, for anyone doing a podcast, that disclaimer makes it legitimately illegal for anyone to soundbite your podcast without your permission. So if anyone does it, you have carte blanche to sue them, and you'll win because that was in your podcast. Just for anyone that's going to be talking about controversial things or anything like that, that's just a small business tip that I'm going to throw in there. Free from the Mental Mastery Alliance.
Mental Mastery Alliance. Go over to their webpage, check it out. If you are looking for coaching or business help when it comes to launching and creating your very own podcast, contact Adam.
There you go. We've got you covered.
This episode brought to you by... All right. Okay. So the next 4 days of the ayahuasca ceremony was intensive. So this entire experience, it literally broke me mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And this is the physical, and I would say it turned into emotional breaking, which every destruction is, I think, beautiful, because every time you destroy something within you, it allows room for growth and regrowth of something amazing. You can even think of the farmers that are in, I would say, Costa Rica, where my villa is at. They actually will burn the land so their crops will harvest better the following year.
A villa, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is for rent throughout the course of the year. Head over to Villa Sonaridad to book your listings now.
True story.
This podcast is brought to you by Christy's other things that she's doing.
Let's list all these things. It's a multifaceted.
But what you're saying is absolutely accurate. And so the Chinese have this thing where when they shatter their porcelain, they repair it with gold. When you go to the gym, you tear your muscles, and they repair themselves with new material, which makes you physically have bigger muscles.
Yeah, you have to have a breakdown before you have a breakthrough.
1,000%. So yeah, to everyone that's listening to this podcast, on top of everything else, don't be hesitant to understand and appreciate yourself as you're growing through these changes. You'll be okay.
One little tip I'm going to share, even though it's completely off, it's related.
Nothing's off topic. This is the Conscious Journey Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to the Conscious Journey Podcast with your host, Christy Morrison.
Holy shit, how many intros? If we actually can rewire our brains to not be afraid of breakdowns and view them as like growing and a breakthrough, like you have to have a breakdown before you go to the breakthrough, your life will completely transform. A lot of people are afraid of these breakdowns and facing things, and they just want to remain in their comfort zone. And their lives, when they look at it, they're just like, nothing goes my way, nothing, blah, blah, blah. I'm not happy, this is shit, blah, blah. You're not kind of going through any breakdowns. You gotta
If you're constantly afraid of the breakdowns, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to get the breakthroughs.
You're not.
That's what she's trying to say. And the truth of that is it's amazing. Like, if you look at any addiction, I'm still addicted to cigarettes because I'm afraid of what happens to me if I don't have a cigarette. I'm becoming overweight because I'm afraid of the hunger pains. But if you appreciate, expect, and look forward to the hunger pains, it's easy to live in a caloric deficit. And I used to say these things for like health reasons. Don't be fat, sure, with all that sort of stuff. But the amazing thing about being healthy is you get more done. Your brain works better. Everything works better. The depression goes away. The cloud, the fog, the clarity goes away. And what you're going to hear too when you say things like that is people are going to defend their ability to stay in their position. They're going to say, I have a medical condition. I have this. I have that. And you know what, man? You have everything that you need to have to get to where you're going in life. And I'm not going to take away from anything that you're doing. I'm going to sit here with what I'm doing. And I'm going to say to myself, I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate what you're doing. But I want to do this, and I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm going to have this faith, and I'm going to have this belief, and I'm going to change everything. Because remember, what Christy said at the beginning was, if you can change the way you view it, if you can reprogram your mind to see it differently, remember that at some point in your life, you were programmed to see it the way you do see it. So yes, 100%. You very much can reprogram it. Sorry, on with the show.
I love it. Rip my shirt off. Power.
There you go.
Hulk Hogan.
I can't not be a host. That's the thing. This is your show. I understand that, but I can't.
Well, you're co-hosting with me. Obviously, you're helping me on this journey, unpacking it. Because I hope everyone by this point has paused this and listened to episode 1. But the reason why Adam is here is because he, even though I was in Brazil doing the actual experience myself, he was back in Canada, but very much alongside the journey because he was helping me unpack and go through a lot of what I was learning and experiencing, and he was reflecting back to me things that I possibly couldn't have seen, didn't see, and positioning it in a way where I could actually see it and understand what was happening. So he was very much part of the process, and that's why he's here helping me unpack it. So thank you.
I'm also here because she just can't shake me, so welcome to it.
Yeah.
Sucker!
You're hard to get rid of.
It's true. Yeah. Like you
don't even say it. Don't even say it.
To anyone who's ever watched Seinfeld, all I have to say is Costanza.
Okay, so the next 4 days, we were doing the whole plant medicine, and I'm not going to go into detail how to make it because it's completely irrelevant to us in Canada. We're never going to be able to make it. But we had to source the vines. We pulled out about, I think, eight vines from the jungle. There was this guy who climbed these trees like nobody's business. It was
amazing.
Him
Jim, the Jungle Jim.
Jim Jungles. And then we are also pulling the leaves of a specific plant, and the vine and the leaves mixed together in this concoction is what makes the ayahuasca. So during those 4 days, we go to the medicine hut, and the medicine hut essentially is a campfire. We hung our hammocks, and we would smash with a piece of wood, essentially, homemade mallet, smash the vines so the bark would come off, and then we would smash it so the bark is off, and then we put it in 2 separate piles. We had a pile for the vine, and we had a pile for the husks, and all of that was essentially combined in like a lasagna. Throw in a bunch of water and then boil it for 4 days.
Delicious.
And smashing it took what? I think there was 8 or 10 of us all day, all night. Smash. So
all day.
Some
all
people's hands were orange. If you go on my personal Instagram, you saw my hands that were completely orange.
That
my
would be
clothing was stained.
Instagram.com/Christy A. Morrison.
Christy.A.Morrison.
My bad. Please head over and
all these links will also be in the notes. So if you want to find me,
we're also just having a little bit of fun, ladies and gentlemen, because why not?
Why not? And so my hands were orange, clothing was stained, people had blisters, there was blood everywhere. No, it wasn't actually that bad, but there were blisters, and it was a lot of hard work, and there was a lot of smashing. So during those 4 days, the shaman is actually giving ayahuasca to people. So it's not an actual ceremony. These are little doses of ayahuasca. And you're having it, you're working, you're doing it. And I chose to pretty much work the entire day smashing the vines. And then by the end of the night, I did my first dose of ayahuasca. When other people did it during the day, I decided to wait. So I had mine at night. and I'm going to reference my little journal for those of you, if you're watching, I have my journal here. So if you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm reading it. So that night, we are all the vibe. I want to set the tone of the vibe of this medicine hut. So there's about 10 of us, like I said, plus 3 or 4, I guess the shaman family that was guiding us on how to make it. Vibes were amazing. So we're in the jungle in an open air hut. So essentially it's just like a little teepee. And the fire was underneath this teepee. We were smashing it underneath this teepee, and we had our hammocks hanging all around us. Some people were playing music, which is like chill, indigenous kind of music, very laid back. And none of us knew each other going into this, but the music was so cool because it brings us all together, and people were sharing guitars, they were playing their flutes, the mandolin, they were singing together, they were creating music together. Like, it was the coolest experience ever, just being in that moment. I remember sitting there and being like, man, community with people is freaking cool. And the beauty that showed up, I can't even articulate it. It's just something everyone, I feel like, needs to experience and go in with an open heart, because once you are able to be in the presence of people creating together, that's pure fucking magic.
Well, that's the community. That's the community that a lot of us are looking forward to, you know? It's also the very same community that movies and media and Hollywood and everybody has been saying, if you're part of a commune, you're a terrorist.
They vilify it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a cultist, or you're, you know, one of those woo-woo weirdos. But like, actually, I'm not an asshole and I don't hate humanity. That's why we like each other.
That's right. Correct.
It was absolutely, like, I can't say enough amazing things about it. And I would love to one day have my own space again to create a community to show what this type of vibration and energy is like, because it is just alone, ayahuasca or not, that vibration alone is very transformational.
Did you say that again in the exact same tone and phrasing?
What did I say?
Ayahuasca, but you said it in your way.
Ayahuasca. I have no idea. Leave me alone.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, so that was the vibe of the night, and then I take my ayahuasca dose, and again, I have zero expectations. I had already my first ceremony underneath my belt, which I again explained, and I was pretty much expecting the exact same thing to happen to me, but this one was a little bit different. It was nighttime. I hear like the people playing, everyone's kind of settling into their space. Some people are going to bed, some people are still hammering, so there's like still an energy of like hammering away at the vines. There was a lot of things going around, but it was just calm energy overall.
One thing I noticed too, because my sleep patterns are very sporadic, and you would clock in and clock out and do things, and people were doing things, and I would hear stories, and sometimes I'd read them at 4:30 in the morning, sometimes I'd read them at 6:30 in the afternoon. It seems like the village didn't have any set clock. Like, it didn't matter what time of day it was, whether it was midnight, 4 a.m., 4 p.m.
There's not one clock there at all.
Somebody's doing something at some point. There was no, I guess it's one of those things where you sleep for an hour here, you sleep for an hour there, whatever it is, and you just keep functioning. There's no set time to sleep.
There's none. Like, I remember actually hanging in the hammock in the main village, and you hear the locals, they just go like, whatever they do. They have a call, and they're calling, and someone calls back from like a million miles away. And you're like, this is 3 a.m. You guys are fucking working? Like, what's going on, dudes?
Wild.
So there was no clocks, but if something needed to get done, they just did it. And I thought it was also very cool. The dynamics within the tribe is very traditional. Like, the men had their role. They were very masculine. They were out digging, hunting, foraging, like doing the actual manly shit, and the women were back at the hut taking care of the children, making food. I was like, this is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, but if you say that now, people are gonna be like, well, to hell with you.
Sexist.
And role reversal, and women are empowered too. It's like, holy shit, man, calm down. People don't even understand. Most people don't even understand that women were essentially forced to go to work, and the women's movement was invented so that they could double tax the household.
Yeah, I thankfully everyone listening to this podcast are very aware of that for the most part.
I love that.
Yeah. It's because I've also shared my own journey, which we can digress, right? That whole boss babe transitioned into who I am today, but that's a whole other podcast that I've talked about, and we can keep talking about it another time. So during this medicine making, when we're in this hut, I had my dose, and this time I actually felt high. It felt like I was on, I'll say acid, which is another podcast we can actually talk about. And I've never done acid before, except for once, 3 or 4 months before this actual trip.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually grateful that I had that first experience, because I knew what that feeling was like. It didn't come out of nowhere. I understood what it was like, and I wasn't overwhelmed by it. I was like, cool, I feel like I'm on acid right now. And it was very light. It was very airy. I had geometric patterns showing up for me minorly. It wasn't a huge like acid trip. I wasn't tripping balls, but I knew I was like floaty, and the geometric shapes were coming up. And it's funny because I totally forgot about this part, and we didn't even mention it the first time we did our recording, but I'm going to mention it now because I'm reading my journal, and I didn't remember until this is why it's so important to journal when you're doing these things, because it reminds you of things that happen. During this ayahuasca trip, and we're in this hut, I met fire people.
Cool.
It was so cool. So I remember looking at the fire. So I'm at one end of this hut. The fire is about 3/4 away from me within the hut. And I'm staring at it, and all these colors, like the oranges, yellows, reds, all kind of are blending together, and it's firing. And then I see these little black dots within the fire. And then I'm like looking at it, and I was like, what is that?
Your people.
And then next thing you know, the little black dots are the heads of these little fire people. So the fire people, they said to me, they're like, look inside your heart. And then I was like, oh, okay, fire people, I'm going to look inside my heart. So I'm like going into this little bit of a meditative state. And I dropped down into my heart. And what I saw was like this pure white light radiating out of my heart, like in every freaking angle, like woo, beaming from my heart beyond infinity past the sky.
Do you know what that was?
My heart light.
That was your aura. Yeah. That was your core sense
My
aura.
whole heart light. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've told you that before. So you and I have had the conversation. The fact that you saw it as white is fantastic, because you and I have had this conversation, and your core aura is crystal, which is why you get very confused all the time, because you don't feel necessarily anything to yourself. You emulate and reflect back to those who you're around. That's why when you're with people that you like, you feel like $1,000,000. And when you're with people that are dank, you yourself feel
dank.
Yes.
100%.
Exactly. So you got a glimpse of your own aura, which is very, very rare. That's only ever happened to me once.
It was the coolest fucking experience, dude. Like, just sitting there, I felt like I was me, but I was so illuminated. It was almost blinding, but I could see it clear as day, if that even makes any sense, you know? Like, it's blinding because it's so freaking bright, and it's so intense because it goes up to infinity and beyond, like the sky and the stars and all that shit. And it's just going every single way, and I'm just fucking beaming. And I was like, this is so cool. And then the elements, like the fire people, essentially, they were like, look, we appreciate that you use us a lot. And I was like,
But you're
cool.
talking to the fire people now?
Yeah, it was like I had a whole on conversation with them.
Amazing.
After they told me to check myself out.
You got to check yourself before you wiggity wreck yourself.
Yeah, so they shared gratitude with me for using the fire, regularly in my life. I light candles a lot in my life. Anyone who knows me, I always have something going. And so they said that they also want to connect even more. And they pretty much just they appreciated the interactions that I had, and they just wanted to have more interactions.
Right.
So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm all
So do you talk to your candles at home now?
I do.
Good. You should.
People are like, you're nuts. You should. Like, the elements, fire, water, earth, air, there's a lot of
Ether.
things that are in this world that we do not exactly understand with our logical brain, but there are elements that you can work with. And that is a whole other metric that you know, it's going to blow some people's minds. And I know some people listening to this, if you're not into that world yet, you're going to be like, whatever, she's a fucking weirdo. I love being a weirdo. My life's freaking amazing. So if that's what it costs, who cares?
Yeah.
And then from that pretty much was my interactions with the fire people. And then from there, I just felt really, deeply connected to the earth. And I heard crickets, birds, the leaves rustling. I heard dogs barking in the distance. I heard frogs croaking. I heard the whistling of people far and near. I heard the people talking around us. I heard people talking in English and in Portuguese. I heard music. I heard, cracks within the forest of things rustling around. Like this whole jungle around me was so alive. And I was just like, this is so fucking cool.
Nice.
Like I am a microcosm, spectric, little tiny thing in this living, breathing, massive experience, this world. So if I'm experiencing this all these things around me, and it felt like the earth was just breathing around me, I was like, there's no way to explain this other than it's just pure magic. And a lot of people nowadays are so disconnected, not only from themselves, but also from Earth, that when they go for, let's say a walk in the forest, they're like, whatever. What am I going to cook for dinner? What's the tree? Like, they're not thinking about, what's happening around them.
So the thing too is with the ether, once that's actually reintroduced and stated, people understand that we are everything. And when you're disconnected, which is what all of the shitty foods, like in episode 1, you were talking about how these are the things I had to do before I went down there, the prep work to go down. But that prep work, once you do that, and if you live by that, it connects you to everything. It allows you to tap into the ether. It allows you to see certain things. And when you disconnect, you disintegrate. I know. I just lived through it myself. And so the fact that I have the luxury of reconnecting with everything again, myself, my soul, my essence, that's not just me. That's not me talking about the physical meat suit. That's me talking about my ability to see absolutely everything more and more clearly. My ability to communicate and to connect, not more accurately with other humans, but also with nature. I haven't seen the fire people yet, but I haven't done the psychedelics in a very long time. So, but it's all there. It's all part of it. So when you go in and when you're talking about the breathing, what you're doing is witnessing an external representation of your quote unquote internal breathing.
Exactly.
And everything is intertwined. Everything is interconnected. There's another reason why people are really into breath work these days. It's massive.
We actually have been taught how to breathe incorrectly. A lot of it is up in the chest and it needs to be within the belly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still guilty of this. I am completely aware of what needs to change and how I need to adapt, but it's one of these things where it takes conscious effort until it becomes ingrained into your system. So I'm still working through my own breath work. But yeah, once you start focusing on all these little metrics, your life starts completely transforming, and you start coming online and you're like, this makes more sense. This makes more sense. This makes more sense. And I've always been connected to, I will say, Mother Earth, nature. I've always had a deep connection with it. I loved being outside. And even when I owned my land and acreage, I would be out there communicating with the trees, having a conversation. Like, people are like, oh, bitch is talking to a tree. No, I'm talking to the outside. I'm just talking to the tree and having a nice conversation and being like, whatever. Beautiful day today. Whatever the fucking thing is.
She's basically a forest pixie in real life.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it wasn't actually until the time where I mentioned the acid trip, where it really took my deep connection a little bit further, because it allowed my cells to connect greater than just what I could control.
LSD opens doors. Yeah, it's intentional.
I remember calling you one day and I was crying and I was just like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm sitting in my office and I feel like I can feel these leaves falling and I feel the earth breathing and I feel the dog's fur blowing in the wind. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I remember that. And I was like, oh, I've got another call on the other line. Sorry about that.
You did not. You actually did help me through that process, but it did take me online a lot deeper than what I was doing on my own, without the insistence of psychedelics and plant medicine. So back to the ayahuasca ceremony, that moment after I was talking, with the fire people, and I really started feeling the earth again and listening, the message came to me, and I wrote it right here. It says, stop searching, wait.
Yeah.
That is when we mentioned in episode 1 your favorite quote from Alan Watts. Once you receive the message, hang up the phone. And that's when it clicked for me. I was like, oh yeah.
Well, that's the other thing too that we talked about in episode 1 was, sorry, my brain just went ridiculous.
Alan Watts?
Yeah, but Alan Watts, yeah, but constantly searching, forever missing the point.
Searching, forever missing the point. Yes.
Yeah. So that was another one too. I think that's Krishnamurti that was saying that there are people out there that do this, and that was your trajectory. Like that was one of the things that I'm like, Christy, you got to calm down. And every single time I did, you got mad at me. You took it personally.
I was annoyed. I'm like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm a fucking Capricorn. I do what I want.
Because I'm moving slowly as well as a water sign Cancer, and as well I've gone through the journey that you're going through, and I understood the excitement, but I also understood that the advice that I'm giving you is going to save you a fuckload of headache, grief, pain.
Yes.
But again, you have to go through that. We've said this before. Like I can't hand you your lessons. I can just gently guide you.
You gotta grow
anyone, not just me and you, but like
through.
anyone. You just have to be. You have to be guided. And so yeah, so you have calmed down, and that's an amazing thing.
Well, that's the most beautiful part about what really came to me during the 10-day experience. That whole, in bold letters, stop searching and wait was such an important message that I needed to hear, because I was searching. I felt like I needed to search for absolutely everything. Search for answers, search for things within, search for this, search for that. And searching actually becomes fucking exhausting. You're like, okay, what the fuck am I searching for now? We're not supposed to be searching. We're supposed to be waiting for the call, proceeding with it, and then once you receive the message, hang up the phone.
I've gotten the call again, and so it's kind of neat for me because the first time in got to be 20 years that I've gotten the call, and it's the Costa Rica trip. There's something waiting for me down there. So we're going to figure out how that works, but but I got the call. So I'm intrigued to see how that plays out, because I know for myself for the longest time, I did the psychedelics. I did this. I got the message. I became where I was. And then after my recent dark night, I got the call again, and I haven't had the call, like I said, in 20 years. So it's like placing and timing. And it wasn't about just do this. It was about, you're going to be here. You're going to be in this environment. You're going to be at this energetic frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You're happy here.
Mm-hmm.
Do this. I'm not going to go into details, but do this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I was like, okay, let's see how this works out. And so it's kind of exciting. It's kind of exciting for sure.
And waiting for a call doesn't necessarily mean it has to involve plant medicine or psychedelics. Like it could be, you could have a call, be like, change your career.
Yeah. Change your underwear.
Get rid of your annoying friend.
She was about to say husband. I saw it in her brain.
Shut up. I did not. But that's the thing. Like,
no offense, Aaron.
Listening for the call and proceeding with those calls. You can ignore it, but that's going to delay it. You're going to keep getting the call. The phone is going to keep ringing until you finally fucking pick it up and do what you're supposed to be doing.
And that applies to everything in life. The minute you veer off course, you're now going to experience anxiety until you get back on course. And a lot of people don't know how to get back on course. And so, everything that you're talking about with regards to psychedelics and all that sort of stuff is absolutely applicable in the real world, in your life. These are all infinite greatness, infinite smallness lessons, right? And it equates to everything that we're doing, every aspect of what we're doing. But that's really hard to explain to somebody who doesn't have the ability to think essentially or beyond the third dimension. I don't want to, it's just weird. It's just weird to talk about, because you're gonna miss a mark on a lot of people that you are talking to, but those you do talk to, they're gonna fucking love it.
Yeah. You know what else I want to talk about? I actually got a message from someone on Facebook, an acquaintance, that she was asking me about my ayahuasca trip, and I quickly went over it with her, and I shared that. She's like, are you going to do it again? And I was like, no, I received my message. I'm done. I'm good. Unless I feel like I'm called to do it again, I'm good. And she's like, wow, I needed to hear that. And I was like, okay, why? And she was like, I've done ayahuasca, let's say, 5 or 6 times now. And my husband's annoyed that I keep going. I feel like I'm at a point where I'm good, but I was excited to go because my friend wants me to go, but am I going because I need to go? And I was like, you're going because your friend, like the pull is not the call. This is not for you. The pull is because your friend wants you to go and it's cool to hang out with your friend. She's like, yeah, I think you're right. Like, I don't feel called to do it. And I think that's so important to reiterate is when you're listening for the call, you want to make sure it's an actual authentic call and it's not a transference of addiction.
If you're actively listening for the call, you're not listening for the call. You're trying to create the call. You have to live your life, and the call will come.
It.
Yeah,
exactly. It comes to you. You don't search for the call.
Yeah.
Stop searching and wait.
That is correct.
And then it will come to you. Everything that you need to experience will come to you. And that was the thing. She thanked me. She's like, oh my God, like I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that, once you receive the message, hang up the phone. She's like, I need to hang up the phone because I keep going. And I've met a lot of people who have done like 18, 20, 30 ayahuasca ceremonies. And I'm sitting here wondering why. I'm like, healing also can become addictive on its own.
Healing becomes an egoic personality.
Ego. I'm always healing. I'm like, if you're always healing and nothing's ever changing and you're always trying to repeat the same things, you're not actually healing. It's another repeated pattern.
It's a loop. You may be healing, but you're not integrating. Integrating cancels the loop.
Exactly. So I thought that was an incredibly important lesson that I also learned. Hang up the phone throughout this. Like, I don't need to keep doing because that's the number one thing. Hey, do you want to do ayahuasca again? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm like, I've gotten what I needed out of the experience. I don't need to chase this anymore. Like, I don't need to go out of my way to have these experiences. And I have met people in my path where, let's say they used to be addicted to drugs or something, and they are using this as a transference and calling it healing when it's not actually healing. And they're repeating these patterns, but instead of doing it, let's say with a hard drug, coke, heroin, something like nefarious, then you can transfer it into healing plant medicine. But if you keep doing it and you need it, then it's an addiction. You don't need any of this. We can do our healing journey without it. All of this is tools. The plant medicine, ayahuasca, hepe, Kambo, all these things that we're learning, mushrooms, psychedelics. These are tools that you can use to assist in your progress. But as soon as a tool is required and you need it and you use it frequently, it's no longer a tool.
Speaking of Kambo, we haven't even talked about Kambo.
I know, I'm so excited for it.
All right, let's get into it.
Kambo. Well, okay, so Kambo was one of the other medicines, I will call it, that I got to experience while I was in Brazil. And this is actually also one of the most misunderstood medicines. And a lot of people have a fear with it. I know going into it myself, I was incredibly afraid because what people tell me, literally it's all surrounded. They're like, oh, you feel like you're dying and it brings you close to death, but blah, blah, blah. And I actually had to do research on it enough to make me comfortable. And I actually found this, I sent this to you. I found this Instagram post, and I'm going to say it's from mountainandmoon.co. And it was brilliantly articulated on what Kambo is. And I wish I found this before because I probably would have been a lot less afraid knowing this. Now that I've done it, I understand this. But going into it, this would have been nice. So I'm going to share this. Kambo is not a poison. And it is a secretion from the Philomedusa bicolor frog. And the frog is really cute. He's green and he's got little dots on his side. And the shaman, when we were doing it, the frog was chilling on his knee. And it's found in the jungle, climbing around. He's around. And the secretions on the frog's skin is not venom. It is not poisonous to humans. I would have loved to have known this before going into it because I probably would have done more. Now, before I was like, I'm never touching that shit again. But I was like, I would try a little bit more dosage, see what that's about.
So you'd go
So
up
it's not-
higher than that, eh?
I probably would,
Would your
knowing that
face
it's not
swell?
poisonous to humans. Yes. So it's not poisonous to humans. It is a natural chemical cocktail the frog produces to protect itself from things in its environment. The secretion is made up of bioactive peptides. And everyone in the world is all like, peptides are great for you. So why the fuck not from a natural thing? Small chains of amino acids that interact with the body in a very specific way. Some of these peptides are toxic to bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi. And this is the part of why Kambo is so cleansing. And another thing that I discovered before doing Kambo, which instilled some confidence into me, was I listened to a podcast of a woman who was able to shrink her cancer so much that she was able to have it surgically removed just by using Kambo. She did not use the traditional medicines of chemotherapy or radiation. And we've all heard and experienced that some people say the cure is worse than the actual disease of the traditional medicine world. It makes you really sick.
100%.
And it's toxic. And I swore if I was to ever have anything like that, I'm avoiding the traditional medicine. Like, I'm at a point where I've lost completely faith in all of that, and I've experienced so much on the plant side and how healing it is that this makes way more sense than the people who are making money off of me through the pharmacy. There's nothing in the secretion that has been shown to be harmful to mammalian cells or organs. When you receive Kambo, your body is not being poisoned. And that is a very big misconception, because what happens in your body and how you feel it feels like you're being poisoned, which is why a lot of people are like, oh, it's an easy way to describe it, you're being poisoned. But you can't use words that are not accurate, because you're painting in a wrong picture for something that it is. So you're not being poisoned. So why is the intense physical reaction? The peptides are active and your body is responding to them. This is an active reaction going through your body. Short-term effects are associated with things that are associated with toxicity. Increased heart rate, heat and flushing, nausea, vomiting, sweating, and diarrhea. These are all physiological responses to the peptides, and it's not a sign of poisoning. Kambo works by triggering the body's innate intelligence, circulation, detox pathways, immune signaling, lymphatic movement, purging, and clearing. And how many people do lymphatic massages?
I've had it done once or twice, and it's amazing. But yeah,
it's amazing. And all these things are becoming more and more talked about in North America. In the Western world, it's still going on. People are doing a lot of ancient medicines, and we're finally freaking catching on how beneficial it is and how it's actually making things better. So once the acute wave passes, the body shifts into a different state: clarity, spaciousness, balance, and deep parasympathetic restoration. And often there's a vast and immense healing that unfolds afterwards, physically, emotionally, and energetically. Your system feels clearer, your intuition is sharper, and your vitality is stronger. And this is where healing nature of the medicine really shines and continues long after the session ends. The purge is just the doorway. Much of the healing happens after. And that whole description is so accurate. When I went into my Kambo, I did 3 dots, and I'm going to see if I could pull up a photo of
is the
these
scar
3.
still there?
It is, but it's hard to see, and my shirt's a little tight. So I'm going to pull up a photo that was of me and the shaman in the active Kambo ceremony. And here is my 3 dots. Can you see?
Oh, yeah.
That? Okay, so you can see it's got raised bumps around these dots. So first the shaman burns you with essentially a stick. And then the shaman takes the frog. Here's a photo of the frog. He's really freaking cute.
Buddy.
There he is. So cute. And he's chilling on the shaman's knee. So once he burns you, you can see burning here. I'm showing photos, so if you're going to go to the YouTube and you can see these photos as well, or Instagram, which will be in my links below. and he's chilling. The frog's chilling. So he takes the dull end of a knife and is scraping essentially this goo gently off of the frog. And I did have people kind of, attack me. Oh my God, you're being mean to the frog. It's animal, whatever, abuse, whatever. Yeah, simmer down. It's not. The frog's chilling. If the frog wanted to fuck off, he can hop away. So he's scooping the goo, and then he rubs it into the wounds he just burnt into you. And then you just sit by the river, and immediately my toes were tingly. And I was just like, oh boy. And it moves up your body, the tingling, and it comes up and up and up and up and up and up. And then you start getting dizzy. And for me, I blacked out, but I didn't black out. So it was like everything kind of went really dark. And the girl beside me, when she did 4 dots, I did 3 dots, and a lot of the men did 5 dots. And I was honestly terrified of 5 dots because I was going in very uneducated about what this is. If I had known, I probably would have done the whole thing just to know I wasn't going to die. And this little girl in front of me, she was from the tribe, and she was maybe 8. She did 2 dots. And I was like, if this little girl can handle 2, I can handle 3. Laura did 4. And I sit down beside Laura, and I look at her, and immediately she's like, poof, passes out. And 2 of the shaman's sons had to help her stay upright, because when you're purging, you don't want to lay down because you can aspirate, and that could kill you. So for me, my new friend Chris, he didn't do Kambo for his own reasons. So he knew I was terrified about this, so he actually was very nice and amazing. So shout out to you. I'm so grateful that you were there. He sat beside me while I was going through this, and I was like, Chris, I wasn't purging through vomit. I was like, dude, I need to go to the bathroom. But I couldn't see. I wasn't steady on my feet, so he had to hold my arm, and he guided me to the bathroom. So I'm so grateful for him because I was able to make it to the toilet. And once I was finished my business, I still couldn't see, but I come out the doors, and I've been there for a couple of days now, so I know where I'm going. And I was like, okay, I just want to sit here. And there's a catwalk to go to the bathroom. And I was sitting with my legs dangling over the catwalk, and I started doing my breath work. And I tried to put myself in a meditative state because I felt like I was being brought to death. My whole body was shaking, and I was dizzy, I was weak, overall, I felt nasty. And this is just from 3 dots. And so for me, I was sitting there with my legs dangling, and I was breathing deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And I'm like, you got this. You're okay. You're not going to die. It's all good. And Chris was like, you're doing really well. He was, pretty much being kind to me and sharing that I was doing well. And then the shaman came over because the shaman also knew I was nervous. And the shaman looks at me, and then he puts his hands on my shoulders, and then he says something to Chris in Portuguese. And he laughs. He's like, the shaman says he's very impressed with you, and you're handling this very well. He's like, you're a powerful girl. And I was just like, fuck yeah.
I love
shaman said I was powerful.
Hey,
so immediately, I'm like, this felt so good. And so that really also helped instill calmness within me, because if the shaman says I'm not dying, I'm not going to die. But because, again, I was going in so uneducated on it, I had a lot of the fear that was still spinning in my head. I'm like, am I going to die? Is this bringing me closer to death? Because it does feel really fucking crazy and intense. Thankfully, I only did 3, though. I am grateful that I did 3. The men who did 5 had a ton of facial swelling. Their lips went poof. They didn't need injections. Their cheeks got all big. Like, they exploded in their face. And that's another one of the symptoms of the peptides that are working in their body. And it was the most intense thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. I would say greater than the Hepe that I shared during episode 1. And I am so grateful for it. After that, I said I would never touch Kambo again. now that I am more educated on it and how it interacts with our bodies, and these are the peptides that are natural and it does have healing, and I know someone who's one person, all it takes is one person to prove to me that it's worked for them. They cured their cancer enough so that they could be surgically removed when they were told it was inoperable. That's impressive to me. And with that single experience, if anything was ever to come in my way, I would definitely consider researching and doing Kambo to work on my own ailments if something happens. You can do it in Canada. What happens is they're not going to ship you a tree frog. They would be shipping you essentially a stick, and on that stick has the tree frog's peptides, and you would just moisten it and you'd be rubbing it essentially into your own wounds.
Can we get that practice. Stick?
You totally can. Yeah, you can order it. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it now. It's not a drug. It's not psychoactive. It's medical purposes only. Like, you're doing it to work on something within your body medically, heal something, gain, better immunity, better clarity, like whatever it is, there's a purpose to it. It's not a recreational thing. You're like, oh, let's just have a fucking fun night around the campfire and do some Kambo. No. Like, have a freaking reason. Just like everything in your life. You need to do
How do we
things
get that
intentionally. No, we'll figure it out.
I want to try it. I was like, what happens if I do 10 dots? But because I'm kind of crazy like that, but I don't think that that's a thing, right?
You're fucked. You start small, dude. Experience it first.
No, I've never done that. I am like 100%. I am all in. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
And then I'll figure it out later.
I won't be around you.
So, but I'd say I'll do 5, but I'm like, because 5 is the thing that they all do, right? And even the regime, like you said, that lady that beat cancer, that regime was,
it's a treatment. She did it multiple times. Like, her whole entire arm has scars.
Yeah.
I can't even show you, but right now I have 3 dots still on my arm. It's healing. And it could very well just turn into 3 white dots. Like a lot of people I've met, they just have dots. And some people have their entire back covered. But to me, I would much rather that over the toxic chemicals that I know are being forced out there.
1,000%. I watched that shit happen. My father, I watched him go through chemotherapy.
Yeah.
And I remember saying at the time, like, I will never do this. I will just die. Like, not die, but like, I'll never do chemo. For me, it's like fasting. It's all this other stuff that, you go into. But there's so many things. And people have said to me too at the same time, well, if you're willing to fast to beat cancer because you believe it's true, why don't you fast right now? And then I'm like, well, okay, first off, I do fast, but secondly, it's true. Like, why don't I do a full 10-day fast? Because they say 10-day God fasts will cure almost anything.
Yeah, why don't we take care of our bodies before the ailments? Why does an ailment have to show
1,000%.
up for us to actually get kicked in the ass? We need to take care of ourselves first and live amazing. Like the guy in episode 1 I told you about, he was 105 and he looks like he's 60 and he is rocking it. He's getting up and down off the ground. Like, these are the people that we need to learn from, not the people who are sick and unhealthy. Why are we taking advice from that? I've always lived my life, take advice from people who have achieved what you want. Don't take advice from people who have shit. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. If you want to get fit, you're going to work with a personal trainer that is fit. You're not going to work with a personal trainer that is morbidly obese.
Unless you're morbidly
they took a
obese
couple courses.
And he's like 200 pounds lighter than you, then that's the guy you go to.
Well, is he actively on his journey? You need to know where they are.
Yes, exactly. And so, I mean, like the main takeaway for that, and we've talked about this with regards to coaching 1,000 times, which is, you don't go to Wayne Gretzky when you're 5 years old and you want to learn how to skate, right? You go to Wayne Gretzky when you're already an active NHL player and you're looking to go from 25 to 50 goals a year. But there is a coach for everybody everywhere. There is somebody who's going to teach that 5-year-old how to skate. It's everywhere.
Exactly.
And so the best piece of advice is don't take criticism from anyone you wouldn't go to for advice. And when you do take advice, don't take advice from anyone you wouldn't switch places with. So that's a really cool thing. The struggle be damned, because everybody has their own struggle and everybody has their own thing. The key is being able to tap into your own discernment in that sense.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
On that note, like, even surrounding yourself with the right people, I can kind of equate even my most recent experience. As you know, I started snowboarding. I am 10 days in and I'm kicking ass. Why am I kicking ass? Because one, I'm dedicated to the entire process, but two, I am boarding with people better than me.
I can't
Which
believe
is
that it's
forcing
only
me.
been 10 days. Like
I know.
it feels to me like you're always there.
I know. I love it. It's
Yeah.
actually only been 10 days, especially because in December, it was only open on the weekends. So I could only do, and these are like at the start, only 4-hour days. So I mean, if we want to count the hours, it's even less than 10 days because 10 days is 24 hours. And I have not been snowboarding 24 hours for 10 days. And my progression is so fast in this short amount of time because I am with people who are better than me and have achieved things that I want to achieve. And that's exactly the best principle of life. And the people that are not accelerating as fast are not putting themselves in the same types of situations. I've met people that, many people start at the exact same time as me. And they're like, man, how'd you get so good so fast? I'm like, because I am focused on hanging out and learning from people who have achieved something that I want to achieve.
It's true, guys. Tomorrow she's going to be on the half pipe. It's going to be incredible.
Exactly. I'm gonna get sponsored by Red Bull by next month.
I like it. Blonde girl, Red Bull, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all of these principles in life, it all circles back and it's all intertwined and it's all related, which is why I absolutely love sharing these experiences. But overall, the ayahuasca, the hepe, the kambo, all three of these medicines have taught me something incredible about myself, about the interactions of the world, about Earth, every energetically, spiritually, physically. There's so much information, and as I continued with my integration process and adapting myself and tailoring myself to who I am becoming, it's exciting. Like I'm so excited for the future because I know some lessons are coming down the pipeline, and it's going to give me another piece of this beautiful puzzle.
Well, one of the
And
greatest
more of
things
this-
too about this journey that you're on and that everyone's on is that you're literally every single day is the very beginning.
Very beginning.
And so many people think, well, I figured it out. I'm already there. You're out of your mind.
You're yeah, no, bud.
No. And so the thing is, so here's my outlook on that very scenario. And you and I think have even talked about this privately. It's that you can scale a mountain as fast as you want. And the minute you get to the top, just to the right is your next mountain. And you got to scale that. You can race to the top. And as soon as you get to the top, your next mountain. And it just keeps going. So you can look at life and be like, there are people that have scaled 50 mountains in their lifetime, right? And there are people that have scaled 100 mountains. And it doesn't matter how many mountains you scale. There's always somebody scaling a mountain. You can also scale 4 mountains. The minute you enjoy the journey of scaling, you stop needing to reach the peak. And reaching the peak is, everyone's got their own way of going about business and everybody's got their own way of doing things. But the key to life is really, really embracing the journey because it doesn't matter how much effort and pushing, like we all live here in a box. So once you have an amazing scaling to peaking
ratio,
like once you're a holistic realtor that doesn't take themselves too seriously, then you're winning at life because you're not trying to constantly, who the fuck are you trying to impress when you're scaling, peaking? You embrace the moment, embrace all that it is. And you're winning. That's the true winning because it all becomes how you perceive what you're doing.
Well, I think that's an excellent point because there's two extremes and they're polar opposites, right? You're absolutely doing nothing and you're dying. Essentially, your soul is dying because you're fighting everything, you hate everything. And then there's the other polar opposite extreme is you are focused on excessive amounts of achieving and healing and scaling and going. And you need to have that balance between the two where you are enjoying and appreciating these moments of life. Because what's the point of achieving absolutely everything, even if it's in business and having a shit ton of money, if you can't fucking enjoy it with your family? What's the point? You need to be able to have these moments where you're like, okay, I am in the middle and I am able to still achieve and still enjoy.
Yeah, 1,000%.
It's a beautiful balance. So I think that was a great way to end this episode.
Good.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning into the Conscious Journey podcast. And thank you, Adam, for helping me unpack this second part 2 episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, share. And if you've done ayahuasca, hepe, or kambo, what I've shared was just my experience. So share yours. And, hopefully if you share your experience, we can have you on the podcast. We can talk about it. I can share a reader's information. But this is all about the conscious journey. So what is my journey is different from everyone else.
Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to add one last thing. Our good friend Christy over here doesn't believe at this moment in time that she has what it takes to carry a solo podcast. She doesn't believe that she can articulate perfectly. And I want to say this, I spoke very little in this show and she carried the whole show. So if you're listening and if you're a fan, could you please send her an email and just tell her how wonderful she truly is?
Oh God, thank you. Anyways, thanks everyone. Until next time.